Now the laser's fired. Deep breath. All good.
Hello and welcome to the Cracking Cryptocurrency Market Update. It's Wednesday, November 24th, 2021. Welcome one and all. Bitcoin, major crypto indices seemingly sliding while the metaverse tokens buck the trend this Wednesday. Got some interesting market action to report on today. My dear loyal CC audience, I sincerely apologize for today's delayed start to the show. Just one of those days, one of those weeks, technical gremlins and so forth. Alex, of course, it's a Wednesday. Alex would be in the hot seat today, but as you guys know, we had a Monday installment where he was broadcasting from Florida, and we didn't have such a great show because, yes, his connection was pretty crappy. But guess who decided to step into the hot seat today? Again, guys, I apologize for the delay, but the good news is I bring you the man, the myth, the legend. Justin Wise is coming through, and I'm putting him on screen right now. You're up, big guy. How are you doing? How's your Wednesday? We're live, finally.
It's good. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for the introduction. Hopefully you guys are doing well watching the show today. Hopefully you guys are psyched up for Thanksgiving tomorrow for you guys in the States. I know they do it a little differently up there in Canada, right, Jack? You guys have Thanksgiving like in October, isn't that right?
Yeah, we had a month before you guys, so we just enjoy the Black Friday deals and celebrate kind of alongside you guys.
Yeah, like in Canada, Thanksgiving represents like family and the fall holidays, and in America, it just represents the beginning of Black Friday weekend.
For you, it's kind of like it rolls into your Christmas holiday. You know, for us, it's a big gap. So Thanksgiving's Thanksgiving, but for I think Americans, Thanksgiving represents the beginning of like the Christmas holidays, right? So this is kind of, you guys have your Christmas parades right now, and so on and so forth. So I guess happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to all our CC family out there.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, guys. We got 90 minutes in store for you today. You know how the show goes. We're going to get everywhere from this intro into the news, and then we'll hop into the bubbles. We'll check in on the latest price action in the alt space before we dive into the audience engagement. Look forward to shouting out our dear audience. And we're going to, of course, get into the TA. Justin's going to field today's daily scan, his analysis. He'll take us through the markets today, give us his overview. Very looking forward to that. And then we'll get into the request portion of the show in the latter half. So hang tight for that, guys. As always, you know Justin's request style. He does certainly take an in-depth dive most of your requests, guys. As a result, we can't get to as many requests as we usually do. You know how it is. We are trying to apply the super chat rule now, right? So not to isolate, marginalize anybody, but yes, we are taking priority super chats for today's request line. With that out of the way, big shout out to Justin. We'll be back to his webcam view in a few minutes. We're getting into the news now. Let's do it. All right. News up next. First piece comes from Decrypt. You know how I like to do. I like to lead with the headlines in some cases and not so much dive into the story. We've got TA coming soon, but I will lead with this. Decrypt writes, Ethereum metaverse tokens keep climbing. Mana and Sand hitting all-time highs. Indeed, they're all both up several 100% over the last month since that metaverse announcement from Facebook. What a run it's been on Sand and Mana, even as Bitcoin and Ethereum seemingly sliding. These tokens are bucking the trend. We'll check in with them in a few minutes. Congrats, anybody still holding these. Let's get into the next piece. This one comes from Crypto Potato. Third largest Bitcoin whale bought 375 million worth of Bitcoin in 11 days. All right, so if you're wondering, anybody buying the dip? Were you looking for inspiration? Maybe take it from this whale here. Third largest Bitcoin whale has gone on a record buying spree by making several consecutive purchases. In a matter of 2 weeks, one of the largest Bitcoin whales has accumulated more than 6,600 coins, as the price of the asset has declined by more than 10% in that same time frame. All right, so there isn't a whole lot here. I don't want to necessarily dive in on the investment decision of whales and other people. Well, random addresses on chain. Today's kind of a slow news day, but hey, I figure I would mention this. Hey, somebody out there is accumulating this one into the tune of wow, 375 million. Nothing to sneeze at. If you're looking to maybe average in, buy here, you a little worried? Well, maybe to get some reassurance from this particular whale. He's apparently more than happy to buy up this 10% pullback on Bitcoin. Not investment advice. Let's go into the next story. U.Today reporting that a $66 billion Australian pension fund is set to invest in cryptocurrencies. Well, all right, very cool. This is maybe just a little teaser of what's to come. Obviously, we're hoping for a lot of pension funds, these type of retirement, these big funds at your local school board, your school teacher, investment funds, and I guess a lot of big industry funds out there one day could turn their monies into the Bitcoins. Let's have a look here. At its annual general meeting, Australian pension fund Rest Super's CIO told members that the fund is looking forward to redistributing some of the funds to digital assets market and getting exposure to the rapidly developing industry. Business Insider reports public exposure to the crypto market will make Rest Super the first pension fund in Australia to invest in digital assets. At the meeting, the company's chief investment officer stated that while the industry remains volatile, the fund will still move a small portion of funds to it. The fund's managers told Business Insider they're not looking to long-term exposure to the market and have opted instead to invest for medium-term exposure and hope that this kind will be sufficient for the fund managing about $66 billion. The fund is currently exploring the industry by researching various assets and will make a final investment decision later. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so get the idea, guys. They're certainly throwing down on, well, maybe not so much Bitcoin, but digital assets. You don't have to probably overexpose yourself to this, but even having, say, 1% exposure to the amazing gains that crypto markets can perform, I think even having 1% can suddenly and have if that 1% of your portfolio can disproportionately outperform the rest of it, it can certainly punch above its weight, right? So your portfolio with just a little 1% allocation possibly to crypto could make a big improvement of your portfolio yield at the end of the year. Justin, you have any thoughts on the pensions coming in and fund managers maybe allocating just a little bit to crypto? What do you think? You think they're finally ready to dive in? The water's good?
Well, yeah, I mean, this has been happening for a long time, and it's just going to continue to grow, especially as we get more, particularly as we get like more regulated financial products. For example, I have some comments on the ETF later on, the ProShares and the Vanguard ETF, but I think the easiest analogy for our listeners, though, is this is the exact same concept, though, for these individuals, for these hedge funds and funds, as if you're a crypto investor, and let's say you're primarily weighted in the safer assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then maybe some large caps. A lot of individuals are like real hesitant to like dive into the low cap altcoin market, to hop on PancakeSwap or Uniswap or like 1inch or get something like that. But you got to do it responsibly, right? This is the venture capital style of investment. I've talked about this a lot, where you take 10% of your portfolio and put 1% into 10 different projects. And you understand that most likely 90% of those projects, or 9 out of the 10, are going to fail. But the one project that makes it, the one Bitcoin that you get early in, the one Ethereum that you get, the one Sand, the one Gala, the one Engine Coin, the one Polkadot, the one whatever, that you hold on to and it outperforms better than everything else, makes a massive change to your portfolio. Very similar to trading when it comes to risk management. I've always talked about utilizing risk percentage as opposed to percent of equity. But some of the new strategies that we're making, and just so readers and viewers understand the math, if you're trading crypto, and let's say you're wondering how much to invest into your trade, what your position size should be. if you use 5% of your total capital or 5% of your equity, and you have a 10% stop loss, if your trade hits your stop loss, do the math. What percentage of your what percentage of your capital have you lost? And you've lost 0.5%, right? So you could adjust that to you can have a 40% stop loss, and that way you have your 2% risk on your cryptos. So that's an easy way to do it. I prefer calculating by risk percentage, but again, just kind of similar concepts here.
Yes, certainly indeed. But a valuable lesson even to any investors out here. Of course, not investment advice on the show, but even if you're a bit of a traditional guy, clearly having even just a little bit of exposure to this space is a great idea. I've got a friend recently who he sold his company, kind of finally, made it big. The .com dream, entrepreneurial dream, finally came to fruition. He sold his tech business and cashed out $1 million. Let's leave it at that, right? He did pretty well. So the first thing he does is, well, how do I live off the money, right? He put it in the market. He found some, financial advisor, big wig, and they put the money to work in the markets, right? And when we were discussing it, I was like, man, you're not even putting like 1% into crypto. You've seen how well it's done for me. You can see how much potential there is in this. I know you're a conservative investor, but I did encourage him, even if his financial advisor doesn't, get just a tiny bit of exposure to crypto, bro. It might very well even outperform what the big money fund manager is promising you in terms of returns. With that said, guys, if you're curious, by the way, they're promising to turn 1 million into 10 million in 5-6 years. I can't remember exactly, but just a handful of years. They're expecting to 10x his 1 mil by compounding, I think, the typical market gain. So there you go. That's what they offer the newly minted rich. With that said, guys, let's go ahead and get into this next piece. Collins Dictionary announces NFT as the word of 2021. NFT is the word of the year according to Collins Dictionary, despite it actually being an abbreviation. The Collins Dictionary has officially announced their 10-word list, annual shortlist of the year for the word of 2021, as well as declaring that NFT, although technically understood to be an abbreviation for non-fungible token, has been awarded their word of the year, surpassing the likes of words like crypto, metaverse, and hybrid working, among others. The blog post spoke frankly about the prospect of a digital revolution through, quote, the convergence of money and the internet, which seeks to challenge and evolve traditional mediums of payment in the 21st century. Collins Dictionary defines NFT as, quote, a unique digital certificate registered in a blockchain that is used to record ownership of an asset such as artwork or a collectible. And it was further noted in their blog post that NFTs signify, quote, a chunk of digital data that records who a piece of digital work belongs to. That's what really captured the public's imagination around NFTs and its use of this technology to sell art. Indeed. So there you go, guys. If you weren't sure yet if this NFT thing is becoming a major phenomenon emerging out of the crypto space, well, apparently it is now. Here's Collins Dictionary confirming it as word of the year. So, remember maybe a few years ago over Thanksgiving, it was probably 2016 Thanksgiving, you were explaining to your family what this new crypto thing that everyone's buzzing about. Well, here we are 5 years later, Thanksgiving 2021, you're going to be explaining to them what this newfangled NFT thing is over Thanksgiving dinner. All right, with that said, there you go. Word of the year, word of the year from Collins Dictionary. Let's go ahead and get into this next piece. Let's see here, of course. The Scoop, of course, which is the Block Cryptos podcast. Their new episode is out if you guys want to check it out. I'll have the link below, but indeed, the interview with TradingView's Pierce Crosby. I think CEO over at TradingView, and he talks about mania absolutely peaking right now. So I guess more people than ever, retail more than ever. Likely retail, because I think that's what TradingView serves, is mostly retail traders. Retail pouring into the space right now. What does that tell you? Well, seems like a good opportunity, I think, for the sharks, the shrewder traders, the shrewder market participants in the space. And some people might even think it hints at a possible peak, at a possible top. I remember 16 when everybody in there and then some was getting into crypto. Did kind of hint market peak. What do you think, Justin? You think retail interest, an overwhelming retail interest, is any kind of indicator of a peak?
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of interesting things going on, particularly in the United States economy, which I kind of base everything on. There's some interesting things obviously going over in China. Interestingly enough, I view the Evergrande thing very similar to the Lehman Brothers default back in 2008. And so, 2007, excuse me. And, I think that coinciding with, this absolute just meteoric explosion in stocks and interest in trading, and particularly cryptocurrency, it does signal almost the end of the cycle. Now, I'll get into this when I get into the TA, because I'm not exactly sure. There's two possibilities. One is that the top is already in, and we're just in the decline, and we don't really know it yet. Altcoins are going to continue to basically what I like to call exit scam. Not really exit scam, because you'll see them on all cryptos, even like good noteworthy projects. But the investors who hold those coins are going to. You see this at the end of every market cycle. If you go and look back at 2017, when Bitcoin hit 20,000 and then collapsed down to eventually 3,500, you'll notice that after Bitcoin had already dropped, Bitcoin dropped to 10 grand in a day after it hit 20,000, and then rebounded back up to 18,000, and then slowly fell down to 6,000, where it held for a long time. 9,000 it held for a long time, and then slowly down to the lowers. But right after that massive sell-off in Bitcoin back in 2017, we had alt season, where alts just went on an absolute tear. And that's very possibly what's going on right now. Obviously, it's fueled by the excessive mania as well, which was the exact same thing in 2017. It just always feels different when you're in the moment, but it's never any different. It's just different assets and different time frames. However, it's also quite possible that we haven't seen the last parabolic rise of the cycle yet, and it's going to take time to tell that. So as an individual in the markets, I think that it just depends on what your risk reward ratio is. If you if the gains that you've made in crypto, if those were to be cut in half, if that would cripple you financially, like over the next 2 years, like if you couldn't sustain the loss, because we're going to have another cycle, it always happens. But if you couldn't sustain that loss, then it's not a bad time to obviously start protecting yourself and start taking your cash out of the market. But if you have already done that, you're playing with house money, so to speak, using trader terms, or if you're just in a kind of a better position financially, maybe you have a full-time job, you're trading more as a hobby. I really do think the R to R here is in letting this last bit of the cycle play out. But certainly everything from a fundamental perspective is starting to feel like if we're not at the end, we're certainly getting close.
Certainly starting to feel that way. Yes, the euphoria, the mania, as Trading Views Pierce Crosby describes it, could very well be an indication of that. Let's go ahead and get into one of the last news pieces for today. Edward Snowden used Bitcoin to leak NSA documents back in 2013. Let's have a look. Edward Snowden, a former CIA agent and the famous whistleblower, revealed that he used Bitcoin to leak classified docs back in 2013. Snowden was addressing accusation that he had little understanding of the crypto industry, which he believes stems from the fact that he doesn't shy away from criticizing Bitcoin. While Edward Snowden has been a vocal participant in the crypto industry, it seems that very few people take him as an early adopter. However, the famous whistleblower's views of freedom and autonomy align perfectly with Bitcoin, which he claims he has been using for almost a decade. In a recent Twitter exchange, Snowden addressed accusations that he had superficial understanding of Bitcoin. The comments were prompted by his earlier tweet in which Snowden criticized venture capital investors and warned the public against investing in Bitcoin. Here's the tweet. There is a strain of wealthy VC guys who pretend to do you a favor by warning against Bitcoin or whatever while hyping centralized garbage coins that they coincidentally happen to own an enormous stake in. If you ever make it, don't be that guy. If you are that guy, change, he writes. Okay, so he is pointing out something that I think a lot of Bitcoin maxis recognize in the building. Let's go on. He wanted to explain, though, that his frequent criticism of Bitcoin led many to believe that he had only recently discovered crypto. According to Snowden, though, this couldn't be further from the truth. Snowden revealed that he has actually been engaging with Bitcoin for almost a decade, using the coin to publish the controversial NSA documents he leaked back in 2013. He wrote, there is also a strain that thinks I recently discovered Bitcoin simply because I criticize it at times. You know that whole NSA story from almost 10 years ago? I paid for the servers that made that possible, and I used Bitcoin, he wrote. Nonetheless, he reiterated the point he frequently makes, which is that he still doesn't make him a Bitcoin maximalist. He says, "I'm just not a maxi," he wrote later in that tweet. All right, so he was filling in a
He's
very
just a little bit. He's just a little bit more in a Cardano right now.
Oh, I wasn't aware that he's a Cardano boy.
No, I'm just.
Oh,
I'm
you're just joking?
saying,
Okay, gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha. He's one of the. All right.
Yeah.
With that said, yeah, this fills in like just like a little blank. I mean, I followed, being that yes, I am I'm an OG of the internet. I remember this saga. It's hard to believe it was just 10 years ago, but I remember the leaks. I remember the character Snowden, and yeah, a lot of this was kind of wrapped up with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was wrapped up, for instance, in the WikiLeaks. Maybe not so much Snowden. Now it's revealed that indeed Snowden had some small involvement, I guess, in Bitcoin, using it to pay for the servers to help with the initial NSA leak. But there was another one. It was the WikiLeaks one, the one that got to Julian Assange. Part of Bitcoin's like really early use case. One of the things that kind of bootstrapped Bitcoin was indeed Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and so on. I think their donation, their credit card processing, whatever, got taken down. Then I think that's when they adopted Bitcoin for WikiLeaks way back when. So it's intertwined seemingly into the whole whistleblower. Now even more so. Now that Edward Snowden has revealed that there's some Bitcoin to his story, it kind of does show you that Bitcoin kind of intertwined with the early part of internet whistleblowing kind of NSA history. Interesting. Also raises some red flags, but at the same time, something to think about, and yeah, fills in some gaps here, especially since, yeah, I remember being quite, this kind of, for me, also rings very close to the heart. I was very involved, on the internet. Being a person of the internet, this whole thing is a major part of internet history, and I don't know, Edward Snowden is just, I guess we're two peas of a pod. I think we're both kind of internet geeks. I totally feel him. I think we have probably similar kind of like political probably view, maybe not political, but macro kind of views. So there you have it, Edward Snowden using Bitcoin. All right. How are we doing on time? I think I can afford a couple more minutes for news. Let me see what else we have to talk about here. And the El Salvadorian Children's Hospital receives over 1 BTC donation from a U.S. nonprofit. Well, how about that? Bitcoin, again, making, maybe life better somewhere, are very effective, I guess. So when you send money, it's very questionable, if you're donating to a children's cause or a hospital somewhere, you don't know if it's necessarily getting there. I mean, at least this has a blockchain record to go with it. Let's have a look. A major children's hospital in El Salvador has received more than 1 Bitcoin as a donation from a U.S.-based nonprofit. The Benjamin Bloom National Children's Hospital provides essential care for children in need of intensive treatment in the Central American country, and the donor was a Liberland Aid Foundation. Was founded by the supporters of the Free Republic of Liberland. Okay, never heard of it, but so basically. This is one way to get money to El Salvador. Now, with this whole Bitcoin thing powering things, something tells me there's going to be a lot less, sticky fingers. I think when you traditionally sent money down there for these type of causes, a lot of corruption, a lot of money, I think, ended up kind of, leaking out the sides by the time it got to actually helping the people on the ground. I can only hope that this makes it easier for people to help, causes they believe in, and maybe even helps in terms of, like, again, accountability, maybe having the money actually make it to where it belongs. All right, so a bit of a happy story. Bitcoin might be going to actually help something somewhere. Let's go have a look here. Crypto Potato writes, Shiba Inu hype over. Google Nano shows a drop in interest to 1-month lows. All right, not to rub it into the sheep, guys, but maybe I told you so, which is probably around the time it reverses and puts in a 50% pump. But this article asks the question, is the hype over? We are, of course, low on time. I'll let you guys explore the article. I will leave the link in the description below. Shiba's Inu rise to the top and subsequent decline. Is the meme coin dead? Are we counting the pup out? That is the big question. I guess we'll find out. Senate Banking Committee Chair seeks information from stablecoin issuers, suggesting more possible hearing. Let's have a look what this is about. Senator Sherrod Brown, chair of the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, has called on several crypto firms to release information related to consumer investor protection on stablecoins. So again, they're digging a little deeper into the stablecoins. According to November 23rd announcement, Brown sent notices to Coinbase, Gemini, Paxos, Trust, Token, Binance.us, Circle, Center, And Tether requesting information on stablecoins and to be delivered to them by December 3rd, suggesting that he and other lawmakers may be preparing to hold a hearing on the subject soon. The senator said investors may not appreciate the complexity and distinct features and terms of each stablecoin, with crypto platforms not always providing users with the same protections afforded to someone purchasing coins directly from an issuer. Quote, I have significant concerns with non-standardized terms applicable to redemption of particular stablecoins, how those terms differ from traditional assets, and how those terms may not be consistent across digital asset trading platforms, said Brown in the respective letter. All right, guys, it's a real simple matter. You know, when you buy Bitcoin, you buy DOT, you know, you're getting one for one what you paid for. Buy a bitty, you get a bitty. But when you get one of these stable coins, you know, you're ostensibly getting a redeemable certificate for an equivalent 1 USD somewhere in Tether's treasury. But are you really getting that? Are you, as a consumer, as the retail sucker, really aware of the deal, you know, the deal you're getting? Are you aware of, you know, the terms and, you know, what is this USDT? What is this Circle denominated USD token, right? And that is, I guess, what the senator is asking, and might even have his Senate hearing on this topic in the near future. In the end, I mean, my take on this, I mean, this is, you know, most people I don't think care, and as long as, you know, the USDT buys me, you know, converts back to Bitcoin and then converts back to USDT, and everything for the most part always kind of settles fairly at the end of the day. I don't think most people care, right? Is the thing really fully solvent, or, you know? Justin, what are your thoughts on the whole? Do you think do we need regulators stepping in? Because it seems like stable coins, you know, yeah, they're different than traditional assets, right? Or digital assets. You think they should be a little more involvement from the government oversight? Would you sleep better at night, or you're one of these people just doesn't care whether or not Tether is really liquid? Because at the end of the day, it still trades like it is or isn't.
I mean, okay, so this is a broad topic, and this is something that I'm pretty interested in, actually. The biggest, so from an investor standpoint, not really a long-term investor standpoint, but certainly for the short term, almost any retail trader, and I'm certainly just about everybody watching this right now, the biggest threat to the cryptocurrency space is stablecoins. And the reason I say that is because we criticize the United States government for printing money and utilizing that money to you know, empower corporations and pump up the assets in the stock market and wage war and whatever, you know, whatever your soapbox issue happens to be with regards to the unregulated printing of money. And stable coins are the same thing in cryptocurrency in reality. Like, in anybody who doesn't, I'm not going to criticize anybody's beliefs, but that's my firm belief. I mean, the Tether Treasury, you know, it's USDC to a lesser degree, but certainly USDT, which is the largest stablecoin out there. Any centrally provisioned stablecoin issuers are using the same tactic of central banks. Central banks have been using it for quite a while. There's nothing new under the sun. So USDT is likely backed by very little. I mean, it might be, I'm sure it's solvent to a degree. Obviously, they've made quite a lot of money, but there's a lot of research out there that I've looked at. There's a lot of correlation between the printing of Tether and then following appreciations in Bitcoin's price. I think that Tether has engaged in market manipulation, printing Tether to buy up different assets. I think that Tether and associates have a large stake in a large portion of the cryptocurrency world. DeFi is a little different. DAI obviously is different. Programmatic stable coins are different. However, also at the same time, if you look at DAI is also somehow buoyed in quite in part and parcel by the underlying dollar value of Ethereum. You know, because DAI that is minted can be liquidated should the price fall to a certain degree, depending on what your reserve ratio is. And so Tether has certainly been used to buoy, prop up at times, and pump both Bitcoin, both Ethereum, and the United States government is starting to take an extremely close look at this. You know, the recent report from the Financial Action from FAFTA,
yep.
was extremely critical of stablecoins, and they're going to be, so the use of stablecoins is going to be harder to regulate, but they're going to come after the issuers of stablecoins, and that's going to be a massive blow to the cryptocurrency space financially. We're going to see a big crash when that happens. I know that's going to happen. Now that can be a good and a bad thing. Because on the one hand, I think that's going to be one of the great reckonings that we need to flush out a lot of bad projects. That's going to be a great opportunity for anybody out there who's interested to get into cryptocurrency, who wants to work in the cryptocurrency field, who wants to get into development. That's a great opportunity for them. When this great flushing happens, you're going to see this whole new wave of start. Not that that's not there right now, but it's going to be a good time to get back in on the ground floor of the next great wave of cryptocurrency. But it's certainly going to hurt big time in the short term. And I really don't see that playing out a different way. I don't think that Tether is going to be considered too big to fail. I think that they're gonna throttle the hell out of it. And maybe it might take a while. Obviously, you've seen how the United States government has been able to prolong their economic collapse and crisis, but it's certainly a bubbling cauldron underlying all cryptocurrency prices and the cryptocurrency broader markets.
All right, well, there you go, guys. That's kind of a sobering view of what could be to come. Indeed, me personally, I'm not so confident that it spells doomsday. I'm not even sure if the reckoning will actually arrive. Part of me wants to think that. I do think that they want to introduce central bank digital currencies. I think they do want more surveillance, more tracking within the financial system. And I think that's going to require their own central bank digital currencies, which, good luck adopting that if you can just use USDT. So maybe you got to push the stablecoins out of the way to introduce the CBDC type of stablecoin solution. Excuse me, guys. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point too, Jack.
Yeah, but that still kind of spells maybe doom for USDT and maybe some other stablecoin issuers. At the same time, it seems like it's the status quo is what it is, and I just don't know if it maybe has too much, maybe it is too big to fail, maybe it has too much inertia, and it's going to be too difficult to intercept and kind of take down now. And I also want to think that it ultimately would only cause the price of Bitcoin to pump. If there was any kind of trouble on the USDT front, I would just think, what would you do? You'd raid the order books for any Bitcoin you can get and withdraw right away, right? Like, what would you, if USDT, if you're holding USDT and USDT, you suddenly have a suspicion might be collapsing tomorrow, well, what would you redeem it for besides Bitcoin and immediately flee off exchange, right? It seemed like it would, at least in the short term, cause the price of Bitcoin to pump. People would dump USDT to get any Bitcoin to get out, and I guess other cryptos as well. But I think crypto, or Bitcoin being the ultimate safe haven, I feel like would result in a pump. With that said, guys, I think that's it for the news. Maybe this one last piece, just a little reminder in terms of historical price. The Bitcoin Black Friday happens to be the best time to buy Bitcoin, and it returns this November. Let's have a look. Let's see here. Okay, this is a promotional article. All right. So this is a promo that I'm not going to really indulge too much, but it does remind us that historically, Black Friday this time in November has proven to be a fortuitous time to buy Bitcoin pullbacks, guys. So just consider that. This could be the good opportunity to average into BTC. Not investment advice, DYOR, guys, but that's it for the news today. Much love to you guys. We have gone a good chunk of time here. Let's go ahead and get to the next bit. It's going to be the bubbles. What's going on in the alt space today? Let's check it out very briefly now. All right, we have quite a few losers. We got some quite a few selling off today, but we indeed, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we got some bucking the trend. Sand, yes, the Sandbox token pushing up to nearly $8, guys. Up over 10x, I think, in the last 30 days. Sand is up another 40% today, guys. My apologies. My throat is a little dry. Mana, Decentraland token, $5.40, up another 30% today. What a run. Let's talk about some non-Decentraland tokens. We got some ZEC, ENJ, and Gala up big today as well. ZEC's up nearly 20%. Same with ENJ, and Gala's up a little over 30%. Crow is putting on another performance today. Crow is up another 10%, knocking on a $1 door. if not already arrived there. Let me just go very quickly check. Did we get up? No, we did not get up to, I think, $1 yet. But I feel a little funny now selling my Crow at 58 cents. With that said, Phantom up 7% and a smattering of other tokens down 5 to 10%, guys. So it's a bit of a mixed bag today with a couple decent gains popping off in the sand mana space, for instance. Hopefully this isn't some of that exit pumping Justin mentioned earlier. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the next piece. And that's, of course, going to be audience engagement. Getting into it now. Here we go. Let me just expand out the chat window a smidge here. And B-Flow first in the chat today. Big shout-outs to B-Flow, first chatter of the day. Let's continue. One last thing here. All right, good. Crypto Bull, happy hump day, y'all. Yes, happy Wednesday to everyone here. Rhino TD, can't wait to finish work. I feel you there. Ron Legato, can't hear the intro. Yes, sorry, the audio was briefly muted for part of the intro. Mr. Ether's with us. Big shout-outs to you. Franklin MC, good morning to you. Ron Legato, big shout outs already. Crypto Cats, hey, what's up? Crypto Cats returns to the show. Mr. Ether says, I need to FOMO and get more sand. I feel like the ship has kind of sailed on this one. I hate buying things this up. But Mr. Ether, share some of your OG sandbag with me. You know the sandbox, I think beta, the open beta launches this month, later this month, this week, or early next month. I think you need sand to participate in it. There's a lot of hype around that. I think this is what's driving the sand price up and up and up. People want to get in on the beta. You got to be holding sand. Any word talking about the fear and greed index? It's kind of pulling back a little bit today, 42 over 100. CryptoCats requesting Hero, Meta Hero, by the way, and he says, nice setup, Justin. All right, yeah. Justin's got a cool office space as always. Let's continue. A couple more comments. We're getting into the next segment. Boris Bitcoin. Hey, is there a mentorship session today? No. I think with Alex in Florida, I would wager to say no.
Yeah. Yes, there will be. I'll take care of it.
Oh, there will be then. Okay. Well then, mentorship session. Let me check my Google Calendar. We'll let you know. Let's have a look. Jason, listening in from the road. Jason, drive safe, my man. On his way to Chicago or somewhere in between. Glad we took the ENGA trade last night, says Jason. I'm certainly glad we did too, man. ENGA popping off. One of the bubbles today. Shout outs to Jason on the road and making money at the same time. Nothing like taking profits and, I don't know, hitting rest stops. Whatever. Let's keep it going. Crypto Cats, good call. Yes, it was a good call. Mr. Ether, a lot of real nice calls lately, buddy. Yes, Mr. Ether, hats off to Jason. Alex1233 joins us on DLive. Good evening, all. Big shout outs to Alex1233. Rhino TD, I've already mentioned. Mr. Ether, I think sand is going to blow off, and then I will start the DCA. Oh, okay. Yes, I will probably follow your lead on that one. I am getting into the metaverse applications, and sand looks pretty dope. I will indeed wait for an opportunity. I'll wait for that big 80 or 90% correction. Okay, guys? I can hold off till then. Has huge potential. I do agree with you, Mr. Ether. Can you look at Cake? I will, Rhino TD. I'll add that to the request line. Hang tight. As soon as you sell it, it's still 10x's. Indeed. Mr. Ether, hey, Justin, let me go get my boy in before you tell him to sell. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Mr. Ether, it's the beginning of the end. Shoot, I'm late, says Prophet Bear, but it's my day off, and tomorrow's the great day of Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for CC. God bless y'all. Well, thank you very much, Prophet Bear. I'm glad you made it into the show today, and a very happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Marcin Hibner over on YouTube, Decentraland and Mana to the Moon. All right, we got a Decentraland fan here. Mr. Ether, house money here, baby, and I've already removed 5x of what I put in. Yes, Mr. Ether, this particular alt season, I imagine has been very profitable for you. Xavier, is the 100K by end of year dream dead? Me? No, I'd say no, because I'm a permabull, baby, so maybe our analysts will have other thoughts on the show. Me personally, the fact that people think it's dead, the fact that we're looking like we hit a double top and this is it, I think I like to counter trend that sentiment. 100K, I'm calling it right now, boys. 200 plus K. You heard it here. Midwest, by let's say middle of next year, I'll eat my words on the show by June 2022 if I'm wrong. 100, 200K, let's do it. Jason, donating Bitcoin would definitely get people to understand how to use it. Indeed, it certainly does kind of cut through the bullshit, like I said before, when it comes to getting money, internationally to maybe the people, into the hands of people that need it, right? Peck them away to the Eve doth go with a flying CRO, or with a doth crow, okay? The Eve doth go with a flying crow. Yes, good run, peck them away. Jason, as long as it's fungible, baby. Dave Rice, hit the like button, take out the subscribe, and tell us about it in the chat. Yes, do as the Dave Rice would and hit that like button, guys. All right, I think that's one of the last comments. VRK, good morning, Jason. Do you think there's going to be Thanksgiving dump like last year? I think you mean Justin, but indeed, Thanksgiving dump. Maybe we'll look back historically at the last couple of Thanksgivings, shall we? See how it does. But I do remember going down. I remember last few Thanksgivings thinking to myself, guys, people go home for Thanksgiving, they big up cryptos over the Thanksgiving, and therefore people buy cryptos over Thanksgiving. And I think that's actually been proven wrong Thanksgiving after Thanksgiving. So you might be right, Mr. Verk of the YouTube chat. Let's see here. FATF, Mr. Ether thinks is a funny acronym. Justin and Jack, and I love you, brother, says Jordan Stotts. Let's see here. Annie Word is with us. B-Flow is with us. Andrew Muntz, Peckham 08, I think I've already mentioned. Rhino TD, guys. I love reading your comments. Sainsy is with us as well. Big shout outs to Sainsy. And I see your request from B-Flow. Much love to you guys. I'd love to read all your comments, but we're running a little late. Let's go ahead and get into the next segment. Justin, you ready to chart up and do this next scene?
Let's do it.
Doing it. All right, here we are. We are in the live scene. Here we are, looking good. I got Justin's Bitcoin USD daily chart on screen. I just got to enable his webcam, and we're ready to go. Justin, the floor is yours. I'm going to go start retrieving people's requests, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
Boom. All right. Let's see here. Checking on my screen. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the news segment. We're going to get into the technical analysis now, talk about the markets, talk about the charts, talk about stream of consciousness as I go ahead. Let's see here. I did see some interesting questions that I wanted to address. Let me see. Let's see here. Van Frick, I'm even more bullish. Let's see here. Just look, there were two dumps. Yeah, so let's go with that one first. Kind of referencing the article that Jack talked about. Has there been a historical payoff in investing in Bitcoin on Black Friday? The answer is yes. We'll go back to the beginning of the beginning. This is honestly when I met a lot of our viewers that have been around for a long time. Jesus, back in 2017. Back in 2017, we'll just go to November 26th. November 26th was actually an up candle. We are in an uptrend. We had just we hadn't quite broken 10,000 at that time, but we had broken back in 2017. If you were around in Bitcoin, we had broken 5,000. And that was pretty massive. That was a big time. We just went on this parabolic run to 20,000 ever since then. So buying a Bitcoin on November 26th, we'll just measure from the close of that candle. You would have had a potential run up of over 100%. Okay. Fast forward a little bit. Let's go to the following year, the bear market of 2018. That was a rough year for crypto. I was actually live on stream on this candle. Actually, I was live almost this whole year when this massive dump occurred, and I actually got it wrong. I didn't think Bitcoin was going to drop as low as it did. But long-term holding played out. Lost a few trades on the way down, but long-term buys did end up playing out for anybody who was involved in the market at that time. But let's go to the Black Friday sale. Actually occurred amidst the dump, and of course, looking back now, buying $3,000 Bitcoin, just BORAT thumbs up. You know what I mean? So, but just to note, in 2018, Black Friday did not mark the bottom of the market. There was still another 15 to 20% down to go. But overall, you pretty much bought at the bottom of the market. You just had to be patient. You had to be patient for about 205 days. You had to be patient for for a while. You know what I mean? You had to be patient for about 2/3 of a year. Okay, let's see here. Moving on. Let's fast forward to 2019. Pretty odd year for crypto. Yeah, 2019 was a little weird, but it was certainly more. You know, the overall mood in the air, I think, in 2019 was, are we going to make it? Because I remember when we went up to the $12,000 range and then corrected, a lot of individuals that I traded with particularly were very unsure in this region. And you can just see overall, like, this was a very choppy time in Bitcoin's price history. Just this huge, massive dump in March of 2020 kind of cemented that as well. But that was the recent bottom of the market. That was the March meltdown, actually. I was there too. So anyways, going back to November 26th, of 2019, again, you pretty much bought the bottom of the market again. Keep in mind, you still would have had to sit through. Well, if you bought the 26th, you did have a run up before the crash of about 50%, so still an awesome trade. But you would have had to sit through about 30 to 40% of drawdown at the worst of the March meltdown. But price recovered extremely quickly after the March meltdown. But again, when you're in the moment and the market's dumping, it's always very, very different from. You know, obviously hindsight being 2020. So let's fast forward again. Now we'll go to 2020. Was buying on Black Friday a good day? Notice that there was a dump. Oh, so I didn't kind of highlight this as well. So starting again, starting back to 2017, there was no dump buying on Black Friday. You're just buying up. Moving to 2018. There was a dump following the purchase. Okay. Back to 2020, there was a small dump, but it was very minuscule. Well, actually, if you bought on the 26th, there was no dump. But if you bought a couple days before it, you did have about a 15% correction. So again, we can see here, this is the candle. That's pretty much the bottom of the market there. And you have 150%, 140% run up, depending on how long you held before this recent crash. And then finally, yeah, so that's 2020. And so we're coming up on November 26th, 2021. Bitcoin has already corrected at least 20% from the top side. Now, again, when I want to get into the two potentials here, I do think that Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000. I think that seems more likely. Now, because I'm a trader and because I'm a systemic trader, I have to do what my strategy tells me to do, which is currently being protected in this particular area with my trading capital. But I'm actually really hopeful here from a fundamental perspective that Bitcoin is going to rise up. You know, the thing is, you know, individuals could say whatever they want, but I've just traded with my system for so long and it's made me so much money in the long run. But if I start to deviate from that based on whims, it just throws your whole strategy out of the window. So if this is a local bottom, if this is the swing low in Bitcoin and we don't end up correcting a little bit more, maybe another 5, 10, 15%, then I'm probably going to lose. And then I'm likely going to lose some money as price comes back above. I get chopped up here a little bit, but I'll be able to get in when the trending indicators resume and we get that nice run up back to 100,000, which will be a nice 2x of my capital. And I'll be quite happy about that. And maybe even beyond. Now, of course, that might not happen. And I want to be protected when these markets go down, because maybe, unlike, depending on who you are as a trader, I rely on my trading to cover my day-to-day bills. So, all right, so moving on. Let's, but yes, just historically, there does seem to be weight and evidence to investing in Bitcoin. Now, depending on what kind of trader you are or what your particular strategy it is, perhaps the right approach is to use this opportunity to increase your Bitcoin stack for your long-term holds, and particularly not to see this as a trading opportunity. But again, that's going to depend on the type of trader that you are and the type of investor that you consider yourself to be. All right. Moving on from that, let's check out the daily chart of Bitcoin here. However, on the daily chart, things not looking as bullish as historicity seems to recall. I do kind of want to point out, though, that on previous instances of Black Friday, Bitcoin was above the daily baseline that I've used in all of these examples, with the exception of 2018. With the exception of 2018, where there, again, this is important, the only Black Friday in which you would have bought with Bitcoin below the baseline, there was a brief run up and then another pretty significant correction, right? You know, remember, these low prices, larger price moves are larger percentages. So that was a good 20% little bit more correction from your initial buy-in, which can be devastating to watch. And some individuals do not have the tolerance, do not have the education, do not have the strategy to deal with that type of drawdown. So that would, if history does repeat itself, that is interesting to note, that the only time we've been below the daily baseline and seen a significant correction following Black Friday has been when prices at that time has been below the daily baseline, which is what we might be seeing. Now, obviously, we have to wait and see where the candle closes relative to that baseline on November 26th. But that is interesting to note, which would give some weight to the current position that I'm in. All right, so moving on from there, just give you an in-date update on where our indicators are at. Minx did actually signal for the market structure switch back here on the 18th of November. We did have a little bit of chop where price did pop back up, but was unable. You can see price came back up here and retested the supply zone that this candle broke down from, rebroke that low, the recent low that we had put in on the swing back on the 28th of October. We can see that this candle does trade lower than that. Bitcoin does try to climb back up, but is unable to regain back above that old support that is now turned into resistance. And so we have a failure to achieve. Now, pulling up something like the RSI, just because that's going to be easy for me to see here. We actually don't have any bullish divergence whatsoever from the RSI, or let's actually pull up one of our indicators, which is a bit better for divergence, which is going to be time transformation. Just kind of expand that. Now, we do have a little bit of divergence here on time transformation. Price has made, the oscillator is indicating a higher low following a lower low in price. But it's pretty weak. It's not sizable. So we do need to see some follow through following that. Minx is still in bearish territory, still negative, has not crossed up whatsoever. Neither are we significantly oversold. Let's see here. And on this last dip, the lowest that we got on Minx was in the negative 40s. The last pretty good bottom was on that last dump back in the Mays when we actually had that quadruple bottom followed by that spring. So let's see here. We do have, I do want to note the wicks to the downside here, which again, you're going to see, this could be, if price does end up closing higher than this candle, which it's currently not. We do have this harami that's forming right now. But if price does close higher than this, we would have a shooting star pattern. Although it's not perfect, a shooting star is typically a long-bodied doji, very like this right here. This hammer candle right here is going to form the bottom of what's known as a shooting star candlestick pattern, and is often a reversal pattern. But we don't have that evidence from the market yet. It does kind of seem like Bitcoin is going to continue to stay sideways. I don't really see a large significant move here unless it's to the downside. Over the next couple days, we'll see. We'll see what follows following Black Friday. We still have this rising momentum that's catching up with us in the form of Wada-Atar explosion, and we still have bearish columns. And actually, interestingly enough, we're not seeing that stepping down effect that I normally see in Wada-Atar that indicates kind of the trend coming to an end. If you'll notice, let's look at this this green example here, where we do begin to have the stepping down effect, and then price pops back up and then steps down. You can see this is typically where the trend would end, but we keep having these intermittent pops up and pop these higher columns that are switching colors from the dollar green to the brighter green, which indicates an interruption in the trend. And we're seeing that over here. And as you can see, that bullishness resumed. And as I would be predicting, that bearishness resumes over here. Also note volume here. Volume is being relatively consistent. It's not as high as it was on the push up to the downside, but price is lower and volume is lower than it has been for the last 2 weeks, which is a good indication of continuation in that direction. I did point this out in the analysis earlier. This is a pretty neat tool called Auto ABWAP. This is Electrified's version that I'm currently using. On TradingView, of course. So I want to do 2 things here. I'm going to answer. Profit Bear asks, what does a 15 to 20% drawdown from here look like? Actually, we're going to pull up the CC EMA script here in a little bit and try to find some good correlation with that, or we're going to use the weekly chart. But interestingly enough, Auto VWAP, what it does is it takes the volume weighted average price from a significant high or low in the market, and then that tracks that forward. So this is a combination. This is almost similar to VPVR, where you're actually looking at volume by price, which is very important to see where levels of supply and demand are in whatever market that you're looking at here. And we are resting on that auto VWAP shelf. That auto VWAP shelf is almost the average price. It's a little bit below it though. Basically right where the qualifier zone is on our baseline. It's around 54,863. So let's just call it 54,000, 55,000 to be a little bit more honest. We can just round that up. So a break of 55,000 here is looking pretty bearish, and I would expect some more follow through. Line to get back up above for price to continue chopping around. Of course, our baseline is sitting here around 58,000. So again, strong closes above 58,000, but I really need to see price above 60,000 to show this as a bottom. And I think that's being pretty consistent with what our other analysts have said and been looking at as well. I know Jason's relatively bearish, and I'm not exact. And obviously Alex has been relatively bearish for a while. Now, so two possibilities that I see playing out here though. Two possibilities that I see playing out here. I would like to see Bitcoin hit 100,000 by the end of the year. I don't think we've seen that massive blow off top that we already have, but just always keep in mind, you want to be positioned so that if you're wrong, you can still make money, right? So what I mean by that is we already see some topping behavior here, this swing failure pattern. So this is where the market made a new all-time high, corrected, consolidated, and then went to push above. But look at Wadatar explosion. Look how strong Wadatar explosion is on this run up right here. And then look how weak we get on this run up. There's absolutely nothing. And look at volume as well. Volume is quite high, nice and consistent. Lots of green bars, lots of blue bars, which indicates that price and volume is higher, or at least price is higher. And then we get into this consolidation period, and look how weak the volume is. You can just see not only the size of the volume bars, which indicates less volume on that particular day, but also the color flip that are coming through here, and there just wasn't follow through. So this is known as a swing failure pattern in trading. This is where price makes a high, corrects, makes a higher high, and just a little bit though, like just closes above it barely, and then comes back down. Usually we'll wick up above and then correct pretty significantly. So we've corrected down from that. We've made a lower low in the market now. This is the low that we put in. We've made a lower low now. We've made another lower low in a pretty short frame of time. We've made a lower high. We've made subsequent lower highs. So here's our first lower high. Here's our second lower high. So two lower highs and two lower lows, which we've actually had three lower lows, indicate a shift in market structure, at least in the short term. So Bitcoin is not trending to the upside anymore. We are moving sideways. However, we are putting in lower highs and lower lows. They're not very pronounced, to be fair. They're not very pronounced. But again, concerning. So what I mean by this when it comes to trading strategy is you want to be positioned in a way that captures this. So where is the price tending to move right now? It has been tending to move to the downside. Therefore, the statistical likelihood of you hitting profits are going to be with short position trades. And if price does end up breaking to the upside, remember, so there's your opportunity. Utilizing your risk management system, you're going to be able to get out of your losing trade, and using your entry system, you're going to, and your finely tuned indicators, if you're following along, you're going to be able to get into your winning position. Because what I think, just from a fundamental, the charts don't reveal this, but just historicity and my personal opinion of what's going on with Bitcoin right now. You know, if we have this next this parabolic Bitcoin top, which we haven't seen yet, but it usually happens. It's happened the last several times. Then there's a lot, the R to R on getting into that long trade outweighs the, I guess, the danger of betting against Bitcoin at this particular point in time. So two things that I see happening. Either this is the local bottom, right? And we are going to correct up from here, which means I'm going to, which means, I don't know this yet, but which means I'm going to lose money on my current trade. Okay? And I'm going to make money as an investor. And then I'm going to need to find an opportunity to get into the long trade, which my system will give me. Or we have kind of a Thanksgiving or Black Friday correction. So to answer profit bears correction, what would a 15 to 20% correction look like from here? Well, from current prices, we'd be moving down to about the $47,000 range. So we would be moving back down roughly to this shelf that we formed right here, just pretty much back into this consolidation area. So let's pull open VPVR. So we would be moving basically back down to the local point of control. So as you guys can see, look at this large volume bar to the value area of Bitcoin. But right now, I want to point out this gap. Not a lot of Bitcoins traded here in this gap between 52,000 and 53,000, which is a very likely place for price to go. Price, not necessarily immediately, but price likes to return to non-disputed price levels, right? So very little Bitcoin changed hands here. So there was very little dispute among price, right? So excuse me, let me step back here, okay? There was a lot of dispute about price, okay? Meaning that through this price level, nobody was really willing to sell, at least a significant portion of traders were not willing to sell Bitcoin for around 52,000 to 54,000, and a significantly less portion were willing to buy, right? At least by price. Buyers were willing to pay higher, and sellers were not willing to sell at this price. Sellers wanted to move their price up, and buyers happily followed them. That's why price moved up following that. But all this is showing us is that sellers were not content to sell at these price levels, and they were smart to do so because they were able to push the market up by moving their bids up higher. However, as we can see, particularly in the area between 61,000 to 62,500, there was a lot of agreement on price. Lots of sellers were very happy to sell at this level. And as you can see, that level is now acting as our current level of resistance. This is the value area that price was unable to get over. So below us, there is not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot below us. You can see that all these are relatively low volume nodes, and they don't start to chunk up until, again, really at that point of control, which is coming in at 46.6. And that point of control block stretches up to about 49,000. So this is going to be this shelf right here. Basically, you could look at this as previous resistance turned support on the way back up, and just right where this large red line is on my chart. So there is your 15 to 20% correction from current price. It's actually 17, 18% down to the point of control. So I do think that in the event that Bitcoin fails from here, and my take profit targets for my short reflect this as well, I do think we're going to be looking at 47,000. I think it's going to be like the most logical thing here. But keep in mind as well, price can move down further. Is that going to be a buying opportunity? Most likely, yes, especially if we start to see bottoming behavior in that particular area. One can take a bull position long from those areas, or one can just simply wait for the trend to resume, which is going to happen when your trending indicators start showcasing that the trend has resumed. Okay. So there's Bitcoin. Let's go take a look at Ethereum here as well. Actually, let's just go down to let's just take a quick look here at the weekly time frame. So let's get rid of auto VWAP. Let's look at where Bitcoin is at here, just based on this particular level. Okay, we still have a good weekly uptrend. Kind of the scary thing, though, for the weekly uptrend is that Bitcoin's going to be in a weekly uptrend until down to about 40,000. We have not made a lower low. We have not made a lower high on the weekly time frame. So that is something to point out. So the very much higher time frame for an investor would still be very much holding his Bitcoin here. And so when I talk about utilizing those areas, so for example, is Bitcoin at 47,000 a good buy-in opportunity? Well, very much likely, yes. As you can see here on the weekly time frame, that's only one ATR. A movement down to that level would be, as you can see right here, price bounces off one ATR above our baseline here and is consistent with that lower high. And if price were to fall to 47,000, we would still be making a higher low, resuming that uptrend. So from the weekly perspective, that actually does make quite a bit of sense to look at that area. If you're only trading the daily chart just as a daily trader, you're going to be looking for a different opportunity then, unless you are trading reversals here. Okay. Down to the 4-hour here on Bitcoin. Again, very, very weak, very vapid consolidation. If we do see another mini rally from this area, let's say you are taking longs from this area, I'd be looking to get out in the 58,617 area to the low 15, definitely not above 59,200, unless you see price cross and close above 52,000. But then keep in mind, you look the point of control here, and we'll actually just zoom in a little bit. You can see that value area right there. Here it was previous support where bidders were buying up with limit bids on the low, and here it's where sellers are taking any opportunity to cash out. That large value block is above us. You could also use a VWAP, for example. We are trading below those volume by price levels, which is scary. It's hard to get above those levels. It's better when you're trading above those levels. Let's see here. A little bit of, I'm not going to lie, a little bit of bullish divergence here on the 4-hour time frame. And we did kind of pierce and make a lower low here, but price is just not able to make that, has not yet been able to make that move up. So I would be looking to put on shorts around that $58,000 range, anywhere between like 1 ATR on the 4-hour chart between the baseline and lower, and looking to take price back down to those daily targets. Let's see here. Has there been a lot of day trading opportunity? Bitcoin has actually not been extremely volatile. You know, again, there's been some nice peaks and swings, but let's see here. But we've had pretty low. Yeah, we've had a couple 2% movements, but they've been pretty sharp. Just this is pretty much the only one, because if you were buying overbought and oversold on any of these areas, as a retail trader, you're just not going to be making a lot of money in these areas. There was probably one good trade. This one was pretty tight. These were likely losses. Yeah, there hasn't been a whole lot of opportunity here. So let's go. Okay, so that's Bitcoin. Let's get over to Ethereum. Ethereum a little different. Ethereum is actually holding its bullish trend via the baseline here. We did have a bigger day from Ethereum yesterday. But again, kind of my opinion on this is the same as Bitcoin. I always have to defer to Bitcoin. We did break the uptrend here, indicated by the trend line. We broke through that. Good volume down to the baseline. But again, the same kind of similar thing, but just less pronounced. Ethereum's been on a more of a bullish run. So I can see Ethereum breaking away here, but often they really don't. I've said that so many times and it almost never happens. Like, you know, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So, but anyways, you can see Ethereum having that same failure to achieve that Bitcoin had. Ethereum, though, didn't do the swing failure pattern. Ethereum, this is just more of a failure to achieve, where Ethereum was in an uptrend, put in a high, corrected back down pretty significantly, and has just been unable to kind of break out from that. We have put in again, so this is just different. Ethereum's putting in a little bit of a higher low as opposed to Bitcoin, which put in a lower low. But just not a whole lot of action and activity from Ethereum. Overall, you can see that even if I were taking this reversal baseline bounce, I wouldn't be, because Minx has actually crossed down back below the 0 line and is indicating bearish. Our volume is bearish here as well on the daily, and so is our Wada Atar explosion. So, you know, be a little cautious here with Ethereum. It's always a good asset to trade. Moves more than Bitcoin. Is a little more volatile than Bitcoin. It's become a little better, honestly, sometimes to trade than Bitcoin. But yeah, not seeing the signs of the continuation to the upside here. And likely, if Bitcoin actually does end up having that Thanksgiving Day correction, then Ethereum will likely come with it, which will be putting it in shorting territory. Yeah. So let's see here let's hop back out to the weekly chart here. Again, we just put in this recent. I want to point out that the market structure on the weekly chart is still intact. So investors, you know, or longer term traders can still have their positions on to the upside and be looking for buying opportunities. But that's on the scale of, you know, like months, right? If you're trading the weekly chart, you're taking monthly or several month-long positions. If you're on the daily time frame, you're taking weekly long positions. Typically, your average trade is going to last from 7 to 14 days. On the weekly chart, your average trade is going to last from a month and a half to 3 months. So, just pointing out this that we've currently had this pullback, and this weekly candle has been relatively weak. 4-hour chart for Ethereum here. Just chop, man. We've got a lower low followed by a higher low followed by a lower high, and just so far nothing. Now, if we can get some good volume in here, but look how weak volume is. Volume has been extremely weak. Volume declining here, volume declining here. There's almost no buy pressure pushing price to the upside. And if you look at the sell volume, it's just more significant. So let just see here. Look at the size of the red bars. Look at the size of the red bars. Look at the weakness of the green bars. There's just not a lot of buying pressure in this particular area, which is why we haven't been able to break back up to the upside. And I don't really care whether there's a higher low or a lower low. Volume is a little bit more important to look at in some of those situations. Let's see here.
Just a little heads up to our D-Live viewers. We are, we started the show about 15 minutes late, so I was planning to deploy the chest 15 minutes later than normal, so 6 minutes from now, guys, 2:30, opening up that chest. Get ready. Get your lemons in now. In the meantime, back to Justin.
All right. Let's see here. Let's take a quick look at the chat. All right. Shout outs to GBU Professor Wally. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. Andrew, that was a fire sale. Yes, it was. Absolutely. I mean, individuals that it's one thing to point out, right? When you're looking at big price swings in the past, and I talk about this a lot, right? It's generally not a great idea to do the, I wish I would have bought back then experiment, right? Looking at charts can be sometimes psychologically paralyzing. A lot of people don't talk about this. Technical analysis and just in general, trading financial markets can be extremely overwhelming, especially for a newer trader. You're gonna lose quite a bit of money inevitably to get good at this game. That's just the way that it is. You're gonna make a bunch of mistakes. You're gonna fuck a lot of things up, and you are inevitably gonna look back and just wish that you had done this or done that or anything in any particular areas. So what I was about to say and why I went on that little diatribe was, when I look back on Bitcoin at 3,500, of course I wish I would have bought more, but that's not helpful. It's never going to be helpful because there is going to be decades and centuries of financial markets ahead of us, because I really don't see, I've got a lot of faith in future generations. I certainly have become less of a cynic. Maybe it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. But a lot of things that I just look to used to look upon in our current society with a little bit of reprehension, like, these freaking kids think they know what they're doing. I think that it's a little different now. Whether or not I understand a lot of it, or whether or not I think a lot of it's going to come to fruition, I do think that these younger generations are in the process of building a better world. I think that my generation's in the process of building a better world. I think that we're involved in an industry that's trying to build a better world. And yeah, there's a lot of, garbage and whatnot in there, but I think that's the case. I can't remember now in my tangent what that's apropos of, but anyways, F1 talking about Cardano. Do I think that with delisting Cardano in bad news, it'll go back to $1 or maybe lower? I think there's a lot of dApps coming online for Cardano. Cardano certainly is not going to be immune from any market, corrections or crashes, but
yeah, that was one of the news stories for today, guys. Cardano delisted from Kraken, was it? Either way, they received a bit of a delisting today. At the same time, I think I heard another exchange announcing it will be listed. So you give some, you lose some. It does lend itself to the bigger question of the regulatory uncertainty, right? That was what's cited for the Cardano delisting, and it's possible that down the road a lot of these tokens could be ruled securities, and there's going to be a real comeuppance one day. Day of reckoning for these tokens is Cardano. This Cardano case is maybe not unique, is what I'm saying. Could kind of come to many home to roost. So with that said, guys, 2 minutes to go for that D-Live chest. Justin, you feel like maybe doing requests now, or what do you want to do? Get into requests?
Bring it on, man.
Let's do it, guys. What do you say I open that chest first? I said 2:30. We're about a minute early, but let's get into it. I'm gonna I'm gonna proceed to open up the chest, and then I'm gonna announce the first request. So let's do it. Gonna put the request animation away. I'm gonna put the lemon giveaway mode on screen. All right, D-Livians, the moment is here. I'm going to go stock that chest and hit the distribute button. Let's do it. How are we doing on lemons today? Wow, we're up to 2,000 lemons. Well, that's pretty amazing. I don't know how we rebuilt our collection so nicely, so quickly. So let's put 300 plus lemons in the chest today for the giveaway. All right, lemons have been submitted. And my dear D-Livians, let me get you the lemons you're all here waiting for. The drop is coming your way shortly. As for the first request of the day, Gonna have something more obscure called Hero, Meta Hero. Gonna get into that in just a moment. Here we go. Pressing distribute. Good luck to everybody. Here come those lemons. 30 seconds to go. Get your lemon claims in, guys. If you're on DLive, get them. Go get them. There it is. Counters on screen, guys. Good luck. With that said, getting into the first request. Indeed, it was Hero. Crypto Cats requesting Hero, Meta Hero. He says, by the way, nice setup, Justin. And the best way to chart Hero, he says, try PooCoin. PooCoin.
Gotcha. Give me a second.
I think it's called PooCoin.app.
Coin.app it is.
Yes, Crypto Cats coincidentally coming in with the first place win. 170 lemons going to Crypto Cats. Big congrats to you, Crypto Bull. And ETH1 taking the 2 and 3 spots. All right, thank you guys. Thanks everybody who kicked it with us in the DLive mode. Let's get into that request for Meta Hero.
Yes. Okay, cool. Good. All right. So Hero. Meta Hero. Cryptocurrency number 168. This has moved quite a bit. I'm going to assume this is a meta token. It is on Binance Smart Chain. They got a nice looking website here. Let's see, we can see it here. Let's look at our circulating supply. We've got a little over 5 billion, total supply 9 billion. So still 4 billion locked up. Okay, so we don't have, yeah, FDV. So let's market cap. So interestingly enough, like one kind of neat, trading method. This kind of came to popularity, and I don't know. Some of it's bullshit, and some of it's not. But it's not. It's still not a bad metric, right? When you're looking for how far something can grow, is to look at market capitalization. And then kind of compare that with fully diluted valuation. And as you can see here, it does kind of look like this coin can 2x just based on where current market capitalization is, based on what its fully diluted value could be, assuming that the token emission schedule matches or coincides with concurrent price appreciation. Those two things have to happen at the same time. If you just dump excess tokens on the market, you're going to have the opposite effect. But if there is a slower emission rate of those tokens, if the production of the tokens goes up slower, and there is also similarly a continued increase in buying interest, then that metric can be utilized fairly well. Another thing that you can do is just look at, I actually prefer to use the following. This is how I've made most of my long-term or my bigger positional trades, I should say, in low cap coins, is by finding a sector or a type of coin that I'm interested in. Right. So, for example, back in 2019, there alternative blockchain projects like Holochain and payment networks like Flexicoin and some spend offshoots and Bolt as well. I put some money into, and those were, I actually made a video about it and how those trades played out, and a couple others that I've gotten into, of course, over the days, but. I find a sector that I'm interested in, and I find a project that I like and that I understand, and then I also look at their market capitalization, and then I look at a project that's in that sector, in that kind of same vein, that's done well, and I see how much that token grew. Like, what was its valuation, right? Did it 5x? Relative from its launch date, whatever its token valuation was at its launch date, and then I look at the project that I'm getting into, try to evaluate what my fair value is, or how much the token. You can just look at how much it's grown, obviously, but based since its launch, and then try to capitalize on that, right? So this is how I try to be conservative, but again, looking for 5x's and 10x's. But again, that venture capital style of investing is where you pick small projects. You assume that 90% of the projects you invest in are going to fail, but the 10% are going to do quite well. So, okay. So anyways, room to grow. Let me get a little bit of information on this bad boy. Let's see here. Okay, obviously PancakeSwap is going to be the largest market, And KuCoin has a relatively active USDT market, but of course, I bet PancakeSwap's going to have a little bit more historicity on it. So anyways, the gateway into the metaverse, Ultra HD metascanning technology. So I'm assuming, based on that, what this thing is going to do is take pictures of the world and put that into the metaverse. We're level 99. Yeah, okay, sure. All right. Let's find this bad boy. Meta hero.
All I can think of is sandwich, not metaverse when I think of hero.
Oh, you mean yeah. Is that what you guys call it? You guys pronounce it with the H up there in Canada?
I guess, yeah.
People down here call them well, they're euros. I think that's how they're properly pronounced, but everybody I know calls them gyros.
Oh, you're talking about the Greek, yeah, gyros, yeah. I'm talking about I'm talking about hero sandwiches.
Oh, okay,
yeah. If you're talking hero, I don't think metaverse. I'm thinking sandwich, but that's just me, bros. I think with my stomach. All right, let's continue. So what's the PooCoin chart say?
Okay. Well, okay. This is pretty interesting. You know, this is our launch. I'm assuming, but I want to cross-reference that with charts. I want to make sure that we're not missing anything here. Max. When did this project launch? Okay, so July 6th, 2021. So that coincides with the launch on PancakeSwap. I assume prior to that you had to get it on the pre-sale. Well, where was it listed? Other markets was it trading on? Yeah, just PancakeSwap.
Yep,
okay.
Typical BSC release.
Okay, so since its inception, if you got in on the ground floor, you had a run up of, well, it's hiding it. It's so big. 67 or 6,700 almost, 6,800 almost actually. So you can see here that when price appreciated on this industry, you can just see the waves of investors, right? So anybody who bought in right here, a lot of people took profit right here. That's all this is, right? So there was a lot of price agreement around what is this trading to? About 0.3 BNB. Following that, we had another big wave. Lots more individuals took profit here. And then we have this another big wave, and then look at the volume. Boom, bam, boom. This is the majority of individuals sold here and here when crashing price all the way back down here. We do have a pretty good level of support here at 0.08, 0.9. So let me go ahead and mark that out on the chart. That would be the first area I would be looking at. But just one thing to keep in mind here is that the market structure has shifted here. We are experiencing, we can see the high here. We have a big correction, a failure to achieve, which is a lower high, a crash back down to support. And now we've put in a much punier high. We see price looking like it's on the way back down. So what that means, let's actually, do they give us any like trading tools here? Ah, yes, cool, sweet. Let's check here, okay? We had, okay. Actually, sorry, I am measuring that wrong. I want to do it from the bottom up. So following that, we had price retraced about 80% of the way. We see that it did come up to that 618 and 786. And then after that, see here, we were only able to do a 50%. So using that same logic, assuming, actually, I want to measure from the bottom. So assuming price comes back down to that 0.9 level, I'm going to be basically cutting my estimate in half again. Not to half of that movement, which would be up to the 0.10, but actually to the 786 here. So we'd only be looking at about an 8% movement, just based on how that contraction has occurred. What this means is that individuals who are buying at these lows are getting much more eager to sell. They're far less patient than these investors here, and then these investors here, and these investors here. These investors were far less patient. These investors were even less impatient, and we can see price currently moving to the downside. I'm going to be out on this one. This doesn't look like the asset for me. I think we're going to see. You know, I don't want to underscore like metaverse coins as well. So again, get in at that 0.09. Look to take profits between 10 and 11 cents. It's not gonna be very much. It's gonna be 10 to 15% of a trade. But then you can set your take profit, or you can set your stop loss at that 9-cent level. Be out if we crash significantly lower below that. It does seem like we are forming a level of support and resistance here, which would be good. Maybe the market can consolidate here, and we can move up from here. But just looking for kind of those big swing trades right now, I don't see them. Right now, and we need to see this chart flip pretty significantly before I'd be confident in calling an uptrend for this coin. Well, looks pretty rangy for me.
Well, there you have it. Quite the look, quite a dive into Hero, and that is a little demonstration of how Justin Wise likes to go about giving coins their good first shakedown, right? There you have it. A walk through yes, hero meta hero. Well, congrats to all those guys who got in on the very bottom and back there. They too, I'm sure, are heroes sporting new Lamborghinis now. Let's go ahead and get into the next one. What do we got here on the request line? It's the following. Well, speaking of BSC, we have Cake for Rhino TD. Can you take a look at Cake for Pancake Swap, please? Been a long-term bag holder, but it's been on a decline since March. What should I do? All right, Pancake Arena. What are we? How are we going to chart this one? Trading view.
What we got? Oh, Cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cake.
We're gonna go to. Actually, I think we're gonna do this on Pancake Swap, right? Okay, so I am gonna USDT. Is this baby swap guy? This doesn't seem right to me.
I mean, at this point, maybe Cake on Binance might be appropriate.
All right, let's go see. Let's see where we go back to over here. 19th of February. And this also goes back to April. Oh, nice. So yeah, we are definitely going to do this on
Beautiful.
On TradingView. All right, to the Binance. I really like Cake. I think Cake is a good project. I think it's a good token. I think that Pancake Swap is a relatively good exchange. From what I've heard, I know obviously there's a lot of crap happening on there right now, but the exact same thing happened on Uniswap, the Uniswamp. So I don't really, I'm not big on this. There's a lot of rewards for staking Cake. There are a lot of people making good money on deep value farming and yielding with Cake. And I know there's a couple different ways to do that, but I think Cake is a relatively valuable asset to hold. I know a lot of people that are actually pretty involved with Cake, and they're pretty happy with their investment and what they see coming. Again, take that with a grain of salt, not financial advice. I hold Cake. It's a long-term hold for me. Not a significant portion. It's definitely less than 1% of my portfolio, but I do have a Cake bag. Okay, so let's talk about a couple different things there then. We have this is the Cake USDT chart, and as you guys can see, the current market bottom is a little bit below $9. We did dip all the way down to the low here at $8.30. So we have cracked $9 before, but certainly $9 seems to be that sweet low spot area. Okay, now you want to be cautious when buying the dip, and the dip keeps dipping. You don't want to get caught up in that. But it just depends on what your time frame and perspective is for Cake. If you like Cake and you're able to invest like 1% of your portfolio into something like Cake, and then just forget about it for 2 years, then you'll likely be happy. If this is something you're looking to trade, then this is certainly not the asset for you, my friend, unless you want to trade a reversal, which in this particular situation, I wouldn't be trading. So there's a couple different ways these dumps in cryptocurrency happen, right? So remember, let's go back over here, and just for reference, let me pull back open that hero, okay? Okay. So I want to point out, this is the hero BNB chart, and I want to point out something interesting here, right? So notice with hero, right? We have this big massive run up. Like, this is a little different. Like, price comes up, moves sideways, continues to move up, moves sideways, shoots up, and then slams right back down, right? And after that huge slam back down, it has a pretty big move to the upside. Okay. Notice how this was a much slower sell-off. And as a result, which indicates, right, that more this is larger investors selling that aren't super smart, and this is retail selling because they're a little like not sure, should I sell, should I buy, maybe I'll just sell a little bit, oh my god, I don't know what, and as a result, the resultant movement back up is a little bit lower. Notice and we have the exact same thing. There's a huge slam down, a pretty significant move back up, a slower move back down, and then it takes a while for price to rally back up again. But the point is, you could also consider this whole thing kind of the lower protracted sell-off. When my point here is when you have these large spikes up and then price just crashes way back down, there's typically another rally left in there, right? You're gonna have anywhere. Usually, what I see in crypto is like three waves, particularly with like Uniswap coins. I've seen it with Uniswap coins. I'm seeing it with Binance coins, and Cake's a larger project too. So keep that in mind as well. But you know, the initial investors want to have every opportunity to get out, and you have these multiple waves, right? So a lot of initial investors got out here at these price levels, sold all the way down. Then we have the second wave, and Cake hasn't seen a significant third wave yet. Maybe it won't, but most likely they do. But these are just important things to kind of watch out for. So what I mean, the reason I say that is because I don't really see this being a tradable asset right now. I think that if you're interested in the Cake ecosystem, if you're interested in the Cake token, this is a good time to start scooping up relatively cheap coins because the price is relatively low, and you can start getting yourself involved with like staking your Cake or doing whatever you can do with it over there on with Cake. There's a lot of platform, a lot of use cases for Cake. And by use cases, I really mean just places you can stick it and earn money or other tokens. But that's a good use case for most individuals. These people, man.
Yeah, I have one here from Anywhere. Actually, I wanted to just cover something very quickly. No, it was actually from Mike Maker. Mike Maker asked earlier, how does KuCoin have a heavy U.S. user activity? It won't let me sign up because I live in the USA. Mike Maker, my dear man, what are you doing? Are you not surfing with a VPN? Listen, not trading advice, but get yourself a good VPN and log in from Singapore, and you're going to have no problems using KuCoin. Of course, I recommend you use a VPN all the time. Get a good VPN provider. They even have apps for your phone, so you can go VPN on your phone, on your mobile device, on your computer, and never have any problems getting access to KuCoin. I just made a new account yesterday and got my business done there, and I withdrew my funds and I got out, and I do that all the time. Use a VPN. Make yourself a burner Proton Mail account, sign up for KuCoin, leave no traces. That's entirely doable, Mike Maker. Get yourself a VPN. If you need more help, Mike Maker, just DM me on Discord. I will give you the guidance necessary for but of course, you should not be doing this anyway as a US user. This is all completely theoretical. This is purely theoretical. I would never advise anyone from the US to log on there, but again, we're just theoretically talking about how one would go about doing it if they were to do it, which you shouldn't. With that out of the way, back to Justin. Let's get into... Oh, actually, do you have any concluding thoughts on Cake? Because, I mean, right now, if I'm going to give my own snapshot here, looks pretty droopy on the daily. Ain't much you can do about it, except maybe take Justin's advice and DCA in if you're a Cake believer.
Yeah, absolutely. I do... one interesting thing to point out here is we are getting... Cake, if we look at Minx here, Minx is descending into that oversold threshold, and just looking, historicity, the last times we've done that, getting close to that oversold threshold, that was close to the bottom of the market. You can see over here, again, close to the bottom of the market. So we might be getting relatively close to that bottom of the market, but you do want to see, if we're looking for a nice trend like this, the safer thing to do is to wait for that bottom to come in so you don't buy the dip and the dip keeps dipping, and then wait for that trend to flip. We do need, currently, I think this is probably going to change, but trending levels are all the way back up at around $18, and we're nowhere near that. Reversion to the mean trades, you're looking at about 30% to the upside maybe. But again, I think looking at the best opportunities here is going to be for those who are looking at getting Cake kind of for the long-term hold here. I think is likely the best interest. This is not a tradable chart to me right now. Yeah.
All right, there you have. Rhino TD also asks, or he says, thanks, Justin. Just hoping it doesn't go to zero. At the moment, I'm just going to stick it and earn on PancakeSwap. Rhino TD, I don't think you're a threat for going to zero. Rarely does, the things necessarily go to zero in this space, especially something as prominent as PancakeSwap. I mean, BSC has become, I think, the number 2 behind Ethereum at this point, despite all the other competitors, Solana, ADA, etc. I do think BSC is like the number 2 in the game of shitcoins, and as such, Pancake is the number 2 to Uniswap. And I basically don't think that's going necessarily anywhere. Especially, and I'm of two minds on this, right? I see the going to zero case because I am more of an ETH maxi. I don't really mess with BSC tokens or PancakeSwap or Binance ecosystem. I'm not really into it. I'm more of an Ethereum guy. But on the flip side, Ethereum is getting out of control with fees. It's very hard to onboard people, and maybe that's something BSC has got figured out. It's got, despite my criticisms of it, if retail can get in and make bank on these BSC tokens, if you can power the play-to-earn ecosystems with the cheaper BSC fees, that's kind of a bullish case for BSC, despite whatever I think of it, right? Which may be kind of low, but my opinion is that take with it what you will. Let's go ahead and get into the next piece. I think that's enough of PancakeSwap. Justin, yeah, we're still doing okay on time. It is Justin on the air today, so we are going to go a little bit of overtime. We did start 15 minutes late, so let's go ahead and indulge one of the next requests. It's B-Flow. Can we take a look at STORJ and TLM? All right, STORJ. Yeah. That's the store with the J. That one. You got it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Oh, you know STORJ? All right.
I've traded STORJ.
All
right. Okay. STORJ actually looking pretty good here. I'm not gonna lie. Let's just kind of zoom in on where we're currently at with price. Let's see. We actually have a potential continuation signal on STORJ today. I don't really like to see these wicks to the upside. I do like to see nice, strong candle body closes. And we do have this declining volume. So for these reasons, I would likely step aside on this one. However, at the same time, this is signaling long. We have rising momentum with Wadatar explosion putting a green bar above the explosion level. We have a price is higher and volume is higher than 10 days ago. And we have Minx giving that continuation cross to the upside. Let's see here. If we were taking this trade, we're looking at $2.35 for our first TP. Stop loss down here at about 165. So yeah, we formed a higher low here on the daily. We are attempting to push back up. We are above the previous high, and actually, interestingly enough, we kind of came down and found a shelf of support there. Let's look at this bad boy by VPVR and see if I can't. Yeah, what I would really want to see is price, but yeah, this just kind of confirms it as well. As much as the all the indicators are good on here. The only thing that really worries me a little bit about this one is that we're just right at the top of that value area. And so interesting things can happen with using VPVR in your trading. As you can see, I'm just going to draw two horizontal lines between the big value chunk area. And as you can see, the majority of the trading occurs there, right? When price, you can see here, when price dips below the value area right here, that's the low of the market. And very similarly, when price goes above it, very quickly becomes the high of the market. And that's just what I'm concerned about it doing here. What you want to see is price close really strongly above that level. So you want to see a nice close above that level. And then we can start to chew and shoot through that those low volume nodes, just like we did on these big run-ups over here. STORJ does seem to be struggling right here, and we're currently forming lower, we are trading lower than the previous highs. So I would want to give this a day or two, because if we are able to successfully break above this HVN, this high volume area, these high volume nodes, then I think we can have a nice little runner on our hands. This is just a little bit of a concerning area for me. So I would want to see us break pretty definitively above this resistance. I'd like to see a good candle close as well. And I'd like to see rising volume, not falling volume. I'd like to see rising volume, not falling volume. So yeah, looks good, but I just want to see a couple more days here for STORJ.
All right, big shout outs to B-Flow for that. TLM is also next on the request line.
All right, let's take a... This is probably the last one we're going to do because we got to talk about...
in that case, before we hop into TLM, let's give maybe someone else an opportunity to get in there because that would be the second one of B-Flow's requests. Here's the remaining ones, Justin's pick for today. Jane Doe, Monero, asking about a demand line. Then we can get into that maybe. Audio and Atlas for Boris Bitcoin, as well as Cardano for ETH1. Wondering, yes, I think answered a little bit of the Cardano question. So any of those sound interesting? Monero, Audio, Cardano, or TL, or anything at all? It is your pick, my man.
anything you want to look at.
FEG
demand line for Monero. Yeah, certainly. So let's. I'm gonna do the same thing.
Let's do it. This sounds like a good question. I'll read it out now. It's the following for Jane Doe. XMR, is that a demand line on the daily back to the you know what crash? How does the TA interpret something like this? Just slow and steady, not tradable? Okay, let's have a look.
Sure. I'm just going to do the exact... So, to two questions there, a couple things there. So, first off, there's many different ways to use technical analysis. The primary way is just giving yourself more tools of corroborating evidence, just like a prosecutor would, to attempt to find a conclusion that you feel comfortable with. That's it. I want to restate that. I want to restate that for the jury. Okay. The point of technical analysis is never, and it never ever will be, to find conclusive evidence of what will happen ever. Just not how it works. And if you go down that route, you're gonna find technical analysis as a shifting sandcastle. Technical analysis, for practical purposes, is only good for improving your emotional and psychological well-being while being engaged in the art of trading financial markets. It's very important. Technical analysis does not tell you what's going to happen. Technical analysis helps you feel better about your trading. That's it. It helps you feel more confident if you use it correctly. The way to use it correctly is to, in addition to technical analysis, have a rock solid trading strategy. Trading strategy you have to have, and risk management. You have to have those two things. You have to have a strategy and a system for how you're going to buy and sell. What are the setups that you trade? What are the setups that you like? What are the signs that you look for? Once you've identified those setups that you like, how are you, exactly how much are you going to buy? Where are you going to take profit? Where are you going to take loss if price doesn't move the way that you want it to? And technical analysis just helps you feel more confident about making those decisions. Or technical analysis can be the basis of your trading strategy. So for example, I have a technical analysis-based trading strategy because I use technical indicators. But you can also see me, what I'm doing right now in multiple situations on the show, is also using technical analysis to highlight and help me feel better, help provide corroborating evidence to setups I like anyways. So, for example, here's some things you've heard me talk about during the show. Cake being pretty low. I like cake. As a value investor, when I see a very low price on something I like to buy those dips. I like to buy those for the long term. So I'm using, in that situation, I used previous support, right? Marking where the low of the market was and looking at where the oversold threshold was on my momentum indicator, MINX, which is very good at picking out bottoms, to reinforce a trading strategy that I use, buying value tokens on the cheap. One. That's a good. I don't want to get too carried away, but that's a good example, right? So that's the answer to that. As for your demand line, a demand line typically, or demand zone in trading, typically is going to refer to a level very similar to support. There's a couple ways, and it should be support. You're indicating that demand is an area where price has been bought up significantly, and buyers have been largely unwilling to let price go below there because there is a lot of demand at that price. Demand zones can move. Demand zones fluctuate because people fluctuate. The price that people are willing to pay at any certain given time is always going to change and move fluidly throughout time. So with regards to Monero has been range trading since the you-know-what crash that you referenced back in May. We did put in that recent market low down around the $200 level. Actually, we did have a pretty big dump all the way down to 126, didn't we? Woo! It was a big move. But anyways, we've been range trading pretty much ever since then. And so I just want to highlight kind of the high value area here, or the high volume, the high value area, which is where 70% of volume has been transacted. And that's between 287 and 210. And as you can see, anytime price has gone below there, it's been bought up relatively significantly. Now, the pro to this trading strategy, or using this technical analysis, is that we can clearly see that recently, if you bought below 210, you were going to swiftly be in profit following after that. The danger to this is that Monero hasn't been able to break to the upside out of this range. And as a trend following trader, I know that the juiciest setups, at least for me, the ones that I make the most money on, are when I get into a good trend and let that baby ride. So, range trading is not really my setup, not really my strategy. So personally, I like to stay away from particular things like this. I like Monero quite a bit, but I'm not a value investor in Monero. I think that if Monero is successful, its relative price should be fairly stable, similar to Bitcoin. But we'll see as time goes on. I do like Monero. Monero is really, really good, but there's a lot of market pressures with Monero as well. So, yes, there is a demand zone, and yes, it is tradable, but not per my strategy.
Yep, sure seems like it. A decent range carved out by Monero there. But there you have it. That would be Monero as we hint the 3 o'clock mark. 2 hours, well, a little less than 2 hours on account of the fact we fired the show off a little late today. But hey, that's it. It's in the bag. Shoutouts to everybody who kicked it with us today. Mr. Kobayashi shows up a little late. How's the Mt. Gox settlement going, Mr. Kobayashi? I hear you secured claimants some good bucks. Mr. Kobayashi putting us onto Gala. He says the next sandbox. Well, Mr. Ether was here, I think, 2 weeks ago telling us about that. But thank you, Mr. Kobayashi. Welcome back to the show. Let me just shout out to somebody by the name of Yes2Crypto. Shout out to Yes2Crypto. Relatively new name. Much love to you. We are rounding on the show, so please do like and subscribe. We will be back tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow's Thursday, Justin. That's your regular scheduled time. Are you coming back for like a double header? Are you going to be here tomorrow?
Yeah, so I probably will not be here tomorrow.
Okay.
We're pretty big on Thanksgiving here. So I was actually kind of planning on hopping and doing the show anyways. And then my pre-Thanksgiving shopping just ran, I guess what I and my partner thought was a like a well thought out, pre-Thanksgiving plan turned into not such a great plan because we were out getting last minute things until 11. But we were pretty big on the holidays here. So I likely won't be. I might be able to pop in for a quick show, but you might be on your own a little bit tomorrow, Jack. But let's talk about, I guess I do want to mention, Jack, throw that promo picture up on the screen so we can announce that, because
yes,
that
sir.
is live, and I want to give people an opportunity to take advantage of that. They can.
Getting that on screen now, guys. I've teased it all week, and it's finally here. Let's get it right on the screen here, guys. It's the Black Friday sale. Check this out. Use coupon code BlackFriday15. First 15 get 50% off. Coupon code Black Friday. Everyone gets at least 30% off. So pretty hot promo. A little bit of an incentive there to get on it early to snap up the full 50% off deal. So there you have it, guys. Black Friday 15 is the code to use on the website. Secure your deal now. I look forward to having you guys in premium. Like I said, we teased this all week and it's finally here. All right, so tomorrow is of course the day where I will from the sounds of it, I will be hosting. I think Jason, he's also doing stuff as well. So from the sounds of it, guys, all of our American analysts are busy doing Thanksgiving things, and that's not a problem, guys. I'll tune in tomorrow for at least a news update. Any luck, Justin? Maybe even some of the boys will have time to stop in and say hi mid-show. So don't expect a full-fledged show tomorrow, guys, but that's okay. We're still going to hold you down with a little bit of an update. That much is good. All right, what else do we have to add? Justin, I think we're ready to hit for the exits. You're on screen. You're on the main viewing window here. I've got the Black Friday. Got the Black Friday promotion here in the corner, guys. You know what to do. Here is the code. You know what to do. Get to that site, and so we'll get to the final words. Let's sign off for here, and I guess a very warm Thanksgiving.
Yeah, guys. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, sarcastic remarks, or death threats, please leave them in the comment section down below, or address them directly to Jack's inbox. And everybody be out there, trade safely. We've talked about my outlooks for Bitcoin and Ethereum moving forward, as well as the kind of reviews. Things are going relatively kind of sideways. Not going to lie, as far as our as far as my personal trading this month, up a little bit. But I've been pretty conservative and cautious in my trades. A lot of the trades have come from, whether to hold, whether to continue to hold BTC and whether to continue to hold Ethereum, and what I'm doing kind of with my fundamental positions. I'm doing a little bit of switching around. Probably the biggest wins for the year, the altcoin portfolios that I published back in 2020 are doing absolutely fantastic. So that's been the biggest win. Has been the LTHs for those that we published and recommended to everybody. A little bit, almost a year ago, right? So that's been a 12-month hold. The goal of that portfolio was to 10x. I do believe we have achieved that. And overall things are good. Trading is good. We do have 4 active positions on right now. Actually 5 active positions on right now. They are doing well. I believe all 5 of them are in profit. One was kind of moving around a little bit. Just let me double check that right now. Yeah, we are in Alice, which is up 48.82% currently. Here, I can't show this on the screen. We are in a Bitcoin short.
You could, if you want, if you share your screen share, we have your browser right now.
Yeah, that's okay.
No problem. Let's keep going.
Sorry, save a little proprietary here. And then we are in 3 other positions as well, 2 of which are, one's at 15% ROI and one's at 6.27%. We just entered all 3. Those 3 new ones yesterday. Only one is not moving exactly as we wanted to. So overall, guys, you guys know the drill. We will be back. Well, Jack will be back tomorrow with all the hoodwinks. If you guys have any questions, I'll see you guys in the Discord. And thank you guys so much again for joining us today.
Yeah, much love, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll be back tomorrow. And Cornholio says, please bring back Justin more often. Justin's here every Thursday, so tune in then. We got lots of other exciting Cracking Crypto installments coming your way. Well, in perpetuity, guys. We don't stop. We keep going, even Thanksgivings. Much love to you guys. We will be back. Peace.
Peace.